Hello, this is MTG Sly Guy with another Magic the Gathering deck tech. Today I'm going to be sharing with you a green-red build that I'm putting together for Friday Night Magic tonight. It's not tested yet, but I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes. The deck is mainly built around a green-red monsters build, but I incorporated a card from the new set M15 that I found rather intriguing, which is Generator Servant, and I'll be showing you that later. But first, I'd like to start with the mana base. 10 basic forests, 8 basic mountains, 4 Temple of Abandon, 1 Stomping Ground, and 1 Nykthose Shrine to Nyx. I'd like to have more Stomping Ground, but unfortunately I only have one in my collection, so gotta go with what you got. Starting with the main board, I have my 1 mana spell, the only 1 mana spell in the deck, which is Elvish Mystic. Just a great mana dork. If you're running green, chances are you're running Mystics. Another staple in green, Sylvan Caryatid, 1 colorless, 1 green. Defender with hexproof, 0/3. Tap it to add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. Great mana fix. Great early defense against most decks, aggro decks, weenie decks. So that is a 4 of. Next we come to the card I mentioned earlier, Generator Servant from M15. It's 1 colorless, 1 red for a 2/1, and you can tap it, sacrifice it, and add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. If this mana is spent on a creature spell, it gains haste until end of turn. Such a interesting card. I mean, there's so many things you could do with this. I mean, there's so many great cards that you can get at turn 3, big bombs, some of which I'll show you later on in this deck tech. You could even choose to tap it and sacrifice it and spend the 2 colorless between 2 creatures to give them both haste. It's just such a great card, and I'm pretty excited to see what kind of things I can pull off with it. So that is a 4 of. Next we have a 1 of. I would maybe run 2 of these if I had them, but I only have 1 in my collection. It is Chord of Calling. It's 3 forests and X. Has a convoke ability. Search your library for a creature card with converted mana cost X or less, and put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle your library. This is kind of something, I guess I wouldn't really want more than 1 or 2, because it's something I'd probably use more late game. It's the type of thing you'd kind of want to play it at the end of your opponent's turn to almost sort of pseudo flash in a big bomb, maybe to kind of work around some sort of any kill spells or counters if they maybe spend their mana. So that is a 1 of. Another 1 of in the deck is a Bow of Nylea. Gives my creatures Death Touch, which can help set up one of the combos I also have in this deck, which I will also tell you about later. It has gives all my creatures Death Touch, which helps when they're attacking. It also can help me buff creatures, gain life, do damage to flyers, put cards from a graveyard into the bottom of my library. It's just such a universal card. It's just great. It has so many uses. Very purposeful. The first part of the combo in this deck is Armed. Armed and Dangerous. Mainly Armed, though. Armed is 1 colorless, 1 red. Target creature gets +1/+1 and gains double strike until end of turn. Dangerous is something that I can also use. All creatures able to block this creature this turn do so. But mainly what I'll do is I'll cast Armed. This is 3 of in the deck, by the way. Mainly what I'll do is I'll cast Armed on a creature, give it +1/+1 double strike. I'll attack with it, and then when it attacks, I'll Blood Rush with my Ghor-Clan. So it will have +1/+1 double strike +4/+4 trample. Double strike trample is just a great combo. So in previous builds, I've used this combo to great effect. So I'm pretty excited to see how I can do that. How I can utilize it along with the Generator Servant, getting my big bombs out earlier. So that is also a 3 of. Next up are 4 drops. We have Chandra Pyromaster. She's a 2 of in this deck. She's mainly used for her +1, which is she deals 1 damage to target player and 1 damage to a creature they control, and that creature cannot block. I really can't see myself using her -7 at all, which is exiling the top 10 cards and copying an instant or sorcery among them 3 times. Possibly the 0, but we'll see. But as far as this deck is concerned, I can just see myself using the +1 quite a bit. So she's only a 2 of. Next up, Xenagos the Reveler. Great mana dork if you have creature presence. Also great for putting pressure on your opponent with 2/2 satyrs. The -6 could be good, but I also couldn't really see myself using it that much in this build. Mainly just used for mana and getting board presence. He's 3 of in this deck. Next up we have Polukranos. 5/5 for 4. Can you say more? Monstrosity is great for doing damage to aggro decks, getting rid of little chunk blockers. Just a great card. Another staple in most green decks. He is a 3 of. And then we come to my favorite card from the Theros block, which is Stormbreath Dragon. For 3 colorless and 2 red, he's a 4/4 flying haste protection from white. He's a monstrosity of 7. Put 3 1/1 counters on him, and he deals damage to each opponent equal to the number of cards in their hand. Just a great card. Difficult for most control decks to remove. It usually takes a board wipe in order to get rid of him. Just a great way to put pressure on your opponent. 4/4 haste. He's a creature that I can use my Generator Servant on to get out on turn 3. And, I mean, turn 3 Stormbreath Dragon is just fantastic. Something else I'm very excited about. So he is, of course, a 4 of in this deck. And finally, another creature that I'd really like to get out on turn 3, which would be Kalonian Hydra. He's 3 colors, 2 green. Enters the battlefield with 4 counters on him. He has trample, and whenever he attacks, double the number of counters on each creature you control. So I can just see myself getting him out turn 3 and attacking with an 8/8 trample. That would just be fantastic. In a perfect world. We'll see how it goes. So he is a 2 of. And lastly, we have Arbor Colossus, 2 colorless, 3 green. He's 6/6 with reach, monstrosity for 6, which puts 3 counters on him, and you may destroy a creature with flying. He's mainly in there for things like Desecration Demon, maybe other Stormbreath Dragons, just big flyers that I may not have answers for because there is not a lot of flying defense in this deck besides my Stormbreath Dragons. So he's just sort of a little bit of insurance, and you know, if I happen to have the mana available turn 3 to actually turn him with my Generator Servant, you know, so be it. A 6/6 turn 3, that's not that bad. So he is a 2 of. That is all for the main board. For the sideboard, I have 4 Mistcutter Hydras, pretty self-explanatory. Great for the blue matchup, great against control. 2 Mizzium Mortars, again for aggro decks or for weenie decks. Great to, and some mid-range decks that depend on 1 or 2 big creatures. It's also for the black-white matchup, good against things like Blood Baron. Also, Setessian Tactics is a 2 of, just for removal if I have extra creatures laying around that I can use to get clear a path for one of my bombs, or if I'm trying to trigger off my combo and I want to clear a path. And 2 Destructive Revelry, just some enchantment hate. Back to Nature, another card from the new set that I love. Looking forward to seeing how useful this is. In the meta right now, there's a lot of enchantments and constellation going on. That could just be devastating to them. It would be a 2 of in my sideboard, except I only have 1. Reclamation Sage, 2 colorless, 1 green. It's a 2/1, and when it enters the battlefield, destroy target artifact or enchantment. Just a little more enchantment hate. That is a 2 of. And Ruric Thar, the Unbowed. He is, again, going to be sided in for the control matchup. He's 4 colorless, 1 red, 1 green. 6/6 Vigilance Reach, attacks each turn of Fable, and whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, he deals 6 damage to them. That last part is just laughably good against the control. They pretty much have no choice but to take 6 damage and remove it as soon as possible, because the longer he's on the board, I mean, their chances of winning just go right down the drain. So that is